Hello, hi, I'm Zanzi, and welcome back to the Health for Mzansi podcast, episode 96, proudly brought to you by Health for Mzansi. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm so excited to walk this health and wellness journey with you. Remember, nothing is off limits. A son's first hero and a daughter's first love. That's right. This episode is all about the celebration of fathers in honor of Father's Day coming up on the 18th of June. When fathers are absent in communities and families, the void is evident. Fathers thus play such a crucial role in our society. Let's chat. In light of Father's Day, we'll be chatting to a father, of course, but also focusing on an aspect that does not get much attention, which is being a single father. So to contribute to the chat, I have Siyabonga Khanye, who is so kind to share his fatherhood journey with us. Hello, Siyabonga. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining our chat and that you are willing to share your experience. I'm looking forward to having this chat. Before we get into the detail of being a single father, tell us more about you as a person.
Siyabonga, I guess I'm a people's person who's pretty present and likes to be there for people and very conscious person. Conspiracy theorist. I think I would have done justice to myself if I don't mention that.
Are you that guy, if I can ask you, that reads everything? So you're like, this happened because this and this and this. Are you that guy?
I'm trying to tone it down. I've since learned to suss out and, reduce the noise and all of that. Because with such people, myself included, you go down one rabbit hole to the next, to the next, to the next.
It's
It's never
never
ending. So
ending.
being a full-time parent, you also want to, take a step back a little bit. So I
Yeah.
am a person that tends to consume a lot of, never mind alternate or mainstream, but I like engaging in different topics. So that's why then you'll find I tend to, dabble in a lot of things. Some of my friends would say I know a little about a lot.
Okay, we got a somewhat of a picture of who Siyabonga is, but of course we want to focus on the very important role that you mentioned and that of being a
Yes.
parent, right? How
Mm.
is that process, and especially, just zooming in on being a single parent, how has that impacted your life?
I would say probably on the social, because when we began, I did say, I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate to be a person who stays on a plot, although it's not mine. So there's ample space here. So some of the things I would do a bit more frequently back then, before I lived with my child, was that, if you called me up as a friend and maybe it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, or when you say, hey, let's go for supper or let's go watch netball or
Yeah.
soccer, during the week, it would be an easy sort of uptake of the offer because I
Okay.
would just get in my car and then we're meeting somewhere. So, of course, that part will completely fall flat. At the same time, yes, I can still host because then everyone is still coming here on weekends or
Yeah.
whatever. But you also need to look at that space that your child also needs you outside of, Monday to Friday, which is maybe they'll understand that daddy comes back from work and a bit tired and I went to crash and all of that. She also needs her time. So you can't then always be having people over. But I think more than anything, it's really impacted me, I would say, for the best in that it's really taught me a bit more responsibility, the patience factor, as well, trying to be present more, even as a person, physically, emotionally, and mentally, because we are, of course, experiencing a lot of things, whether it be personal or socially or whatever, So it's really taught me that, and so much so that I may be coming home and having had a hectic day or feeling in some type of way, but I know that here's this person who's either just going to make me smile by being herself. You tend to forget. So yeah, that's really how it's impacted me.
And Siyabonga, you mentioned really great ways in which your life has been impacted, but has there been some challenges on the journey? I know you said some things had to take a bit of a back seat because your daughter now comes first. Has there been some real challenges made you stop and think about things or restructure things? Tell me a bit about that.
I would guess one of the first things is I'm a firstborn when it comes to my mother's side, because really that's where I also grew up. I do have a younger brother, but I think he's about 28 now, who stays back home. We did lose my mom 2 years ago, so 2021 in December, and she was really perhaps the only person left. Fast forward to, I think, more recently, the first 2 months of 2023, I don't have a job. I quit my job in December. So a lot of things were not now looking rosy. We had to cut back on a lot
Yes.
of things. I had to now explain to my brother that, look, I'm not going to send money home this month, as an example, because I look after him or I look after the home. He's there, he's doing his business, but you would know business is not always rosy. And I've had to sort of cut out at that particular point as well. We had to cut out because she started staying with me since last year. Almost didn't even happen. Just so fresh after we lost her grand. We had gotten into this routine as well whilst daddy was working that, every so often, daddy and I were going for breakfast, at Spur. We're going for supper at Spur because, of course, there's a play area and
Of
happens to be a favorite.
parents love
Yeah,
Spur.
we're doing that. But now, obviously, when you're not working, so that's the first two, every money that you've accumulated, you're trying to make sure at least daddy has petrol to take you to school, to pay your school
Mm.
fees, for us to eat. And then I still have to pack your lunchbox. So a lot of those things, we had to relook the going out, and fortunately enough, my daughter is a person who she will not, hammer you. She understands,
Oh,
especially because we
wow.
have this honesty factor. Yeah, no, I speak to her. For the longest time, I didn't tell her daddy doesn't have a job. She's very aware. Scary, but she's
Mm.
aware.
Yeah.
Because she's like, Daddy, aren't you working anymore? And I had not told her. And then I think that was now February. So going into my second month of unemployment. I'm like, actually, yeah, daddy is not working anymore.
Yeah.
And she just understood. I guess she did get maybe a bit worried. I'll probably find out. But I think I did find out because when I did get a job, she was the one going around, telling her mom, daddy got a job. She was now the one who's talking about it to everyone.
Mm.
That, yeah,
Yeah.
daddy finally. So I've been fortunate in that sense that she understood. We took a step back. We've reintroduced it now because daddy is now fortunate enough to be in employment again. So, we're doing things. It's something a lot of people would experience and you would know where to start cutting. There are things that are luxury you would need to start cutting back.
Yeah.
Maybe start eating more responsibly, so to say, this and that. And then again, if your brother is willing to assist, okay, look, maybe push a bit more harder or maybe find a job. So those are some of the things we had to relook.
Some
Yeah.
of the realities you had to face. I just love that you mentioned when she was aware of your unemployment and she asked you about it. Maybe it's just natural to have that immediate concern, but then she wasn't really panicked after that. She
Mm.
felt safe with daddy, right? I know daddy's gonna sort this out, or I'll be fine. I don't need to stress because my dad will take care of me. And I just think that is so beautiful. Usually it would be the child that goes to the mother, right? But what was your reasoning and your feel behind having your child stay with you? Because a lot of people would argue the child should be with the mother.
The important thing for me was because I had started the conversation before her grand actually passed on. So some may have looked at it in a convenience sense that, whatever. But for me, it was that formative years. I said I consume a lot of things and it wasn't my intention to have ended things with the mother I would have wanted, like perhaps
Yeah.
a lot of other people to have a steady home and all of that. But yes, we have to admit differences are a thing, and some
Yes.
of them may be irreconcilable or whatever, but it shouldn't stop process of bringing up this person. So that's firstly how I think in life, and it shouldn't be about us, irrespective of our differences. So it was the formative years, having now understood that, first 7 years of a child's life, not to negate all the other ones, are quite important. So
Hmm.
I'd already missed out through our differences. And we were in such a good space in terms of our co-parenting. I did then take it upon that to say, hey, listen, actually, let's talk about this. But, I'd like to do something like this, which is, can you at least give me the child or our child for the next whatever years? Because I would also really like to impart on a more close, frequent basis. Because
Mm.
again, this thing of just weekends is one thing. And I understand as well, you have to deal with a lot type of thing because she does have a second child as well that I had met her with, who essentially was my son. I still consider him as such, but we just found ourselves in a very weird place at this particular point. Eventually, after some back and forth, she allowed it. Yeah, and then myself and my daughter, we've just been growing from there.
Looking at the community around you, and I'm not necessarily talking about, friends that know you or family members that know you, but what has the response been like from maybe, other parents at the school or, just like people at the mall when they see, the single father with a child? Has it been a positive reaction? Do they praise you for it? Are you acknowledged for it? What has the response been like?
Certainly, more compliments.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's no more compliments. And sometimes I find it, I don't know how to take them because for me, I'm not doing it to be looked at. I'm doing it because it's a choice. I made it and I was willing to fight with people for it and really willing to forego what one would probably say, oh, but you're at your age, you should be enjoying having dates,
You should
going
be out
out.
there.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, but out there is noisy. There is
Mm.
something else as well that's going, and whatever will come and find me as, I'm on this journey, but I'm not going to stop this particular journey. So it's been quite a positive response. Really no negative. If there is, again, like I said, I made the choice and I know why I made it. It's not something I would then entertain. Yeah, it's been quite a positive one.
Yeah. Just receive them and say thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes.
Siyabonga, before I let you go, if there's other young males, that's going to be listening to this that are probably scared to take on this role because maybe it's not the first thought to do so, or you think you cannot do it because children should be with a mom. And maybe things haven't worked out with a partner, or maybe some unfortunate circumstances took place. What would you say to a young father that's willing to take up the role, but they don't really know how?
Well, I would firstly say don't be scared to. The first part of it is bringing yourself to thinking that. And I think most of the time we always think too far ahead. Not to say that you should not think too far ahead, but, block out the noise. Take the first step, do it, and you'll figure it out as you go. Just do not give up. Don't be too hard on yourself and really just accept as you have, because if you think about it and that's what you want to do, scared as you may be, there is some form of acceptance that you have taken because maybe
Mm-hmm.
you see that you want to play a more active role or maybe not happy with the situation for what it is. So just step up, block out the noise. Don't be too hard on yourself. There's nothing worse than not trying. Try and fail, which is also one of the things that I was willing to do. I was like, you probably think I'm going to fail. Everyone else out there is thinking I'm going to fail. Not to say that that's been the top of my mind, but it drove me to do better, to try more, and it's since worked. And I'll be honest, a supportive family also plays quite an important role. Likewise, friends, they also count quite a lot because there'll be times where, if anything, maybe you need time to yourself every once so often or whatnot.
Like any parent,
Sometimes
right?
takes years.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, because you will need that. You will need that. Don't be afraid. We've survived a lot as people, men and women in our age. We've gotten where we are because we went through all those things, but we're here. It's definitely something that can be done, and I'm living
Mm.
testament to it. There's a proud friend of mine who's doing it. I know quite a few. I'm very fortunate enough, actually.
You guys
Then
are flying the flag really high, and it's something to be so proud of.
I'm basically right now actually sending a shout out to them. Percy down in the south. I hope he's been through a lot as well, and he's really doing it. So I'm really, really, really proud of him. There's a friend of mine we used to work together, Ben. He stepped up, proud of him. This is the thing with now you wanting me to name drop because some are gonna feel left out, but they know themselves. Some married, which is, great, some unmarried,
Yeah.
etc. But, the rules, we'll take our children and we'll meet up, we'll sit together, we'll share books amongst each other, we'll buy each other toys.
That's
you know.
amazing.
Yeah, and sometimes it goes in as far as the way we love children, the conversations we have is that, that question of how many children do you have is such a hard one for us because their children are my children,
Oh,
and
wow.
likewise in the communities that we come up from, because that's how we were brought up. It
Yeah.
wasn't you've got two biological children, your children was the whole community, So if you saw the other child getting up to wrong, swear word, etc., you would discipline them.
You're taking it back, to like the traditional parenting, my child is your child. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's maybe what's missing currently. Everyone's just like living
Absolutely.
in their
Yeah.
own silos this day. I'm going to give you a very early happy Father's Day wish. I hope you will enjoy it. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
your daughter will make it so special for you. Thank you for joining this week's episode of the Health for Mzansi podcast. For more on our fatherhood chat, check out healthformzansi.co.za. Now remember, if you are in a medical jam or just curious about some health and wellness trends, you can send an email to hello@healthformzansi.co.za or send a message to 076 132 0454. Yeah, we don't blue tick. So, to all the fathers out there, have a happy, happy Father's Day. We hope you feel appreciated and loved on this day where we celebrate all that you do. Till next time, keep well and stay healthy. Signing out, your girl Jo.